Hi guys, hope everyone's doing well. It's been a crazy week since my last reading and a difficult week. We've had a lot of, intense stuff going on, like Afghanistan falling to the Taliban and all the horrible images. I do wonder if that's the tower that I saw coming in my readings. It felt a little bit like that, just the feeling of sort of a terrible moment befalling us. And, it does fall on all of us, which is interesting. Well, first of all, the images, they pierce your heart. And that's something I felt like whatever this tower is, or maybe there's just going to be a series of towers. It seems like we have a tower a day, a tower an hour. I mean, it's not funny, but it does, maybe we're just in a time of towers. Just a note on the concept of a tower moment. We think of that card as negative because it's a sudden and chaotic fall of a structure. But it's not like a curse. It falls because it has to, because the structure is built on a faulty or weak foundation. So it's inevitable and could even be seen as positive because now it can be rebuilt with a stronger foundation that can't fall so easily. And, I will say when I saw some of these images of the Afghans, I mean, it's like images, that will take years to process how that makes you feel, how sad that is to see and how heartbreaking. And your heart goes out to these people, which is an interesting effect of watching terrible things or things fall, is that it grows your heart. I find it interesting also that we're really talking about this place, this situation, so much. I wish it wasn't so directed at Biden, because this has obviously been a long time coming, and there is definitely a lot more responsibility to put onto other presidents who have created this situation. And, the previous guy definitely weakened our position, did not help the Afghanistan people. I shared a video on my community page. I really like listening to that guy when it comes to political situations. He always has an interesting historical take and human being take as well, that I thought gave an interesting history to where we landed that day or this week with everything happening, with how quickly it fell. It feels to me like Biden was given bad information and he's taking it upon himself anyway, because ultimately he knows even if he was given bad information, that falls to him. But I think we'll learn more about why he thought, why he anticipated a smoother few weeks, I guess. I think he still anticipated getting out all the Americans and Afghans who had helped the Americans. So I think we'll figure out more as time goes by why this didn't go smoothly. But I do see, and I wish that the news would cover, that there's a lot of evacuations happening every day. I think they're getting thousands of people out every day still. And so that's one thing actually I'd like to read on. I haven't used this deck in a while, the Cosmic Tarot. I'll set the Crow Tarot aside for a minute, and let's just do a few. It's interesting to watch back and see the Wheel of Fortune card here, front and center as I open the deck, because it's meaningful at the end of the reading as well. Not to spoil anything, but it is worth mentioning because it strengthens that answer for me even more so. That truly this is all moving as it should and needs to. And I gotta say, I mean, that same thing with how it can affect our hearts, and maybe you feel like you didn't need your heart to be affected like that. It's hard, but there are people who maybe don't pay attention, and they saw that and it changed them in a moment, that they had a moment of seeing this and going, maybe I should be paying attention to the world more. This is breaking my heart. And, and we have obviously a lot of racism in this world, and I feel that the conversations we're having is sort of a unity between us and people, I think, that get a lot of prejudice from Americans. It's like we have these ideas of what our brothers and sisters look like, and this is expanding that. Like, these are our brothers and sisters. The world doesn't feel like it's as big a place as it used to feel like, maybe because of social media, and something is making it feel closer and more personal to us, I think, as a collective, in a way that's new. And we're talking about things more honestly in a way that's new. And I think that we are, praying for each other collectively, probably more than ever. And I think it'll make a difference. And, maybe we wouldn't have learned these things if we didn't have to see people the way we're seeing them, and didn't have to feel this tragedy the way we're feeling it. And I'm not trying to celebrate something so horrible that's so real for so many people. I'm just trying to look at why and what does to us as a collective that is making us grow, I hope. And some people have also pointed out that there was 20 years that we did provide, mostly peace in that area and giving rights to women and girls. And that's something a lot of these young people there, they haven't known anything else. And so I do think that seed has been planted in the psyche of Afghanistan, and therefore surrounding areas that could grow. And I also, weirdly, I think I want to do a read on the Taliban, who's pretending that they're going to be cool, and I want to read on that. But first, let's read on, we want to know, Spirit, we understand there's an effort to get out all the Americans and all the Afghan friends of Americans. How is that going to go? I know Biden really has been crushed for how things have gone and appeared. But how, is he gonna make up for it? Is it gonna end up being a successful mission to continue to get people out? Is that gonna be successful from here on out? Are those people gonna be okay? Is it gonna be okay? How is this gonna go? This exodus out. Show us. The Emperor, interesting. Okay, well, I think we're actually talking about Biden here. We wouldn't normally see him as an emperor, but I do think possibly from the perspective of the Afghans and maybe even the Taliban, that the United States president has a tremendous amount of power. And this makes me feel like he's stepping up, because there's a feeling of power, stepping up and taking powerful moves to take command in a way that I think people felt was lacking for a minute there. What is sort of covering this? What's getting in the way? Justice. That's interesting. This takes me to there's a yin and yang there that I'm seeing, the balance, the scales, that it's we see this as 20 years, right? But in the bigger picture, from above, there's so much wrong with the situation, Afghanistan and all that it's just this needed to happen. Sometimes I sort of feel like this stuff is being upended or unearthed in a way that it needs to, because there was some imbalance in the first place that we, I guess, went there. I honestly can say that when we went there, I was not involved in politics. I didn't understand what was going on. it's a much bigger situation than just Biden. Basically, the feeling is this would have happened no matter which president was in office or when. This outcome was inevitable, whether it was 10 years ago or in 10 years, because of an imbalance that we created, which became very evident the moment we left. Our influence did not hold. And there's a lesson there about control and takeover, that even if we meant well, this was always forced and temporary. And I do feel something here about the initial takeover. You can easily see George Bush in this emperor. In fact, the emperor almost becomes all the presidents who continued to hold on to this territory, which I'm sure they did because they didn't want this awful situation to unfold. But Biden finished what others started and is taking the brunt of it. It's almost like this justice card is saying with great force, it's time for us to back off and let this land go. We can't control their story forever. They have a fate and destiny of their own, to be heroes of their own story and their own land, and we have to let that play out. It will make for a stronger foundation in the long run for the whole world that can't fall so easily. So this thing has to... I kept thinking of it like when you have in the cartoons when they have a rowboat and there's a hole and you try to put your thumb in it and then another hole pops up and you go like this and another and another and another, and that was like us. And it's like once you let go, that thing's gonna sink. Not that they won't rise up again. We'll see what else we can find out. So the surface of the situation, Two of Cups. Okay. Sort of like this is a partnership. That's interesting. It's like that thing I was saying, like the sort of brotherhood that you especially see in the military and people who had worked with their interpreters and others who were Afghanis who were helping. And I think that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing the stories, we're hearing the stories of this unity that exists, like we're one. We're two, but we're one. This is also a positive message of yes on our question. Are we there for them? Yes. Are we getting people out? Yes. And it's not even in the future. It's on the surface right now, which tells me it is happening presently. And I do see that being validated more and more on the news. The friendships, the caring is what's coming out at the top. Us caring about this other country and these people and like the individuals and them as a whole. It's like that's happening. And even if it is us in Afghanistan right now, I think it affects everyone, everyone's feelings about everyone. If you can open your heart to like one thing, then your heart's opened. At the base, King of Wands, or rather beneath the surface. Man, I really do think there is a feeling that there is someone, I'll just say I always say I listen to other readers and some people, and there's something that sort of has caught my eye and my ear, which is how Putin benefits and has sort of probably and possibly pushed all of this forward. He obviously influenced the guy before a lot, 45, with his normalizing and friendliness, trying to normalize the Taliban and all that. And if you look at any like Russian propaganda right now, what they're reporting, it's eerie. It's not, I think there's, yeah, and you also wonder why did that Afghan leader leave so quickly? I'm not sure he really left with a bunch of money, because that, by the way, is Russian propaganda that they're putting out. There's some scheme going on here that's not just, oops, a flub, and that's what I feel in that card. Some scheme. He's just trying to get more and more territory, get people riled up the way, and it's like beneath the surface. Like we don't even realize that there's some guy pulling these strings that have led to this time. 8 of Cups, loss. Eight of Cups, well, that's also walking away from a situation, actually. So, okay. Yes. And that's very sad. That card's making me really sad. It makes me feel like this is how some of them feel, like they left us. How could you leave me? It's just like this despair. They feel like abandoned. This could also definitely be referring as well to the Afghanistan president walking away and abandoning the situation, which is what happened and seemed to be a very big surprise to Biden. And this, I think, will end up being a bigger story eventually, maybe even relating to the guy beneath the surface. Okay, what do we have moving forward? Because this will answer, what do we have moving forward? For those who are feeling abandoned, are we going to be there for them? Are we going to be able to help them? Well, that's not a nice card, the Devil. Oh, man. So I would guess that this represents, I don't know if YouTube's going to be, you know, flagging videos that say certain words, but like, I'll say the Tal tribe, the Tali tribe. It's so interesting too, because in this card, this devil's like sort of all dressed up like a Western. Oh, and there's a little like, wearing like a general jacket. It just makes me feel like these Taliban leaders are like aligned with these types. This is not just what the purity of whatever they're pretending it is. I think that there's some other stuff going on. And I think that's what we're going to see coming up. We're going to see, I don't know that things are going to be like uncovered, but we're going to see some, I think, bad behavior from these people. It actually answers that other reading I was going to read on, which is, are they going to actually be nice and let people go, or are they going to be the devil? They're going to be the devil, I'm afraid. But I think we'll see it more clearly. Oh, Ace of Swords. You know, there's a new fight. There's a new understanding, new knowledge, and a new fight. Both, I think, maybe definitely in the American heart, and I'm going to guess also in the Afghan heart. Prince of Swords. You know, this makes me think of these military soldiers. Like I saw one on Rachel Maddow, of course, the other night, telling his story. You're seeing them as guests on these shows. This is what we're going to hear. And this is something I was saying was like affecting me emotionally, and I think affecting others, in realizing like these people are like family, and we need to start to, you know, and I don't know, what do? We don't go back in. It's not going to work. But maybe there are other ways that we can find to try to help by reporting the truth to the world. I mean, this matters. This helps. Reporting these bad things. It's interesting because I also heard a story about an Afghani citizen who has worked with MSNBC before, and he was able to get his wife and kids out, but decided to stay for the exact purpose to continue to report the stories from the inside, even though it's so risky for him to do that. And that's the spirit I feel in this card. People are not going to just give in. They're ready to get out there and fight and protest. Maybe they'll keep their lines of communication open and we can keep this story out there. This is something that the Taliban does not want. This is why they pretend they're going to be nice, because they don't want the story out there. And I think the story, we're going to keep it alive. We're going to keep there's going to be a way out, like underground, you know, tunnel stuff, underground railroad stuff, and keeping the communication alive. Like, we're not gonna like they can try to shut down roads, but we're gonna keep the communication alive. And this is, and the interest is there. We want to hear it. We want to know. We care about them. And we won't just abandon them in every way. We'll continue to tell the stories and get the truth out there. This is all about like truth and truth telling. So hopes and fears. King of Swords. Yeah, I think that the hope is for a hero. Of course, the American in me jumps to the hero they want must be us. And for some that may be true, but I think many Afghans plan to stand up for their freedoms and rights themselves, and they hope many will join into that purpose and that they will succeed and make a difference. And the fear is, oh geez. I just hated when I went to what the fear, because you know what they do to people who have worked with Americans. So yes, people are afraid for their lives. Final outcome. Wheel of Fortune. Good, 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 good. It will turn. The situation will turn. Of course, this card can refer, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean right away. It's, you know, but this is like a destiny, a fate. And I do feel again in this card, like we will watch it turn, you know, it's not going to be hidden. And it's interesting. I think there's actually there's a lot of writing and symbols that reminds me of, I wonder if they have a sort of similar, like we have in the Bible, Revelations. I wonder if I'm sure they do, in their own religion, where the so-called weak sort of overcome the so-called strong and create a world of peace, a land of peace and harmony. I just feel like that there's something like that in their destiny. And Arabic is the word I was looking for. I don't know that that is Arabic, but it, you know, my eye was drawn to it and made me think they have their own destiny. Okay, so that's interesting also. It's like we sort of went in to take over their destiny. And we, you know, I honestly think we needed to step out for their own destiny to play out. And the fact that it's that they're in a bad place now, the Wheel of Fortune tells me that that's, you know, will turn to a better place with time. That's a really powerful card. I'm glad to see it there. You know, and part of that destiny, I think, is to deal with the devil here. I look at the bottom of the deck now. I've got the Temperance card. You know, patience. Little by little, you know, every little bit adds to, you know, every bit that maybe the young women have learned in their education, and the young men, and Three of Cups. You know, I don't know if you saw, but there was on day one, there was like a little demonstration, some of the women coming out with their signs, a small protest saying like, you know, speaking of women should be able to have jobs and education. And it's like, I do see that little by little, you're going to have some of these protests. You're going to have, I'm feeling a lot of woman, female, I don't know if power is the right word, but like that temperance where little by little they're going to grow. The young women, the Princess of Cups, it's these young women who've grown up with their education and just have that taken away. Like the High Priestess, it's like, oh, I just got a strong feeling with this. It's like they have just taken spirituality and made it just this male thing and the women are just there to serve the men. And this is like the female spiritual goddess energy that has been left out of the balance, right? There's no balance in that super masculine culture that's coming in, that Taliban culture. And boy, do we have a lot beneath the surface that has grown and will continue to grow and is a big part of this Wheel of Fortune. Like, this was beneath the Wheel of Fortune. It's like, it's going to be the women, or like you could call it the feminine, that's the high priestess, which, you know, isn't really about gender, but more about just the other side of power, not just being the force and dominance, but a spiritual power that like rises up. And hey, Ace of Pentacles, maybe they're gonna be financed. Maybe money will come to help these purposes, to help this to turn. And a lot of it is because we're hearing the stories. And I think we will continue to hear the stories. It's like I'm hesitant to keep turning more cards because I like this ending, this Wheel of Fortune, but I think I will. Prince of Wands. The Lovers. King of Cups. Secret meetings. Okay, so what I get from this Prince of Wands, I think there's going to be new leadership coming up. Maybe within some circles. Maybe we know him, maybe we don't. And I think this is within their own country. You know, I mean, there could be young soldiers who feel like they have to be part of the Taliban, but they don't want to be. Maybe they'll be like secret helpers. King of Cups beneath the surface. I do feel like this will continue to be America. Maybe, I don't know if that's Biden or if this is a much longer period of time, but I'm feeling a sympathetic king, leader type energy that will continue to try to support, you know, beneath the surface this time rather than, well, interesting, rather than, and also the Emperor was sort of us trying to be king in another country. And we really need to sort of support from a different angle and let them play out what they need to play out to find their power. I think they will. This could also go as far back as, I'm back to this and sort of seeing it also as like all the way back to George W. Bush, right? I mean, that's who really started this. It's too much. We're a country, America's a country, we're not supposed to rule the world. But someone wanted to, and there was a line of presidents sort of keeping that control. And justice is sort of like, that was what we saw, I think, was sort of justice for the initial in all the years of maybe being where, even if you feel we did it for the right reasons, it's just like, you need to let the people manage their side of the world and like sort of stop trying to manage everything. And it was the attempt to be controlling and managing that I think led to what we saw. It wasn't just a flub by the current guy, you know? So that's my feeling on that. Oh, and then the Lovers is a big card. The Lovers, you know, maybe this is sort of a future that is it's always good to have allies. So I do feel that that is something we can look forward to, is having, you know, more allies in that part of the world when things do turn around, which I do feel could take, who knows, 20 years or something. I'd love it if it happened sooner. And I don't know, all I know is I just noticed that timing wise, it's like meant to happen. It's just, it'll happen when it happens based on every moment of how far they get or we get or time moves, because but the destiny is there for it to turn for them to a happier, more unified time. And we need to support how we can, but not be the emperor anymore. So I'm happy to see this ultimately for Afghanistan. You know, they're fired up for their independence, and maybe that unity, that brotherhood, this Two of Cups, that brotherhood, that maybe that did have an effect that will help them to move forward, even though we can't expect them to be us. You know, and I think actually we will learn a lot. This King of Cups is also sort of learning a lot from where we stand. You know, maybe it's our turn to learn some things. There could also eventually be a new leader rising up for Afghanistan, a man of great feelings and heart, which I think could be great. So God bless the Afghan people, especially those who feel like we've abandoned them. I hope that we do not. I hope that we continue to care and watch and report, and I hope in our time we get to see things turn around. So that's my read on that. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts, your reads, your takes on the cards, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.